Hey everybody, this is Mike with Free Roaming Photography, and in this video I'm going to tell you why I almost always shoot in aperture mode. And granted, this doesn't apply to everybody, but this is where I feel most comfortable and I'll be discussing why. Now, in order to get the most out of this video, it's vital that you understand how manual mode works. I do have another video discussing just that, so be sure to watch that if you're still not comfortable in manual mode to really get the most out of this video. Also, just a quick reminder, I do offer private photography workshops in both Grand Teton and Yellowstone National Parks. So if that's something you're interested in, be sure to check out the link in the description where I can discuss this and any other questions you have on our private outing in the parks. So jumping right in, it's of course important that you understand how manual mode works to consistently get the shots that you want. But just because you understand it, it doesn't mean you always have to be in manual mode. With what I'm shooting, primarily nature and wildlife, the main component I want to make sure that's dialed in properly is the aperture. Of course, this will vary depending on what type of photography you're doing. For example, if you're a sports shooter, you're likely much more concerned about the shutter speed to make sure that you freeze the action properly that you're trying to capture. In this case, you'd want to prioritize the shutter priority. Similarly, with nature photography, I'm concerned with my depth of field, so I'm much more likely to focus, pun intended, on the aperture. As such, I tend to leave my camera in aperture mode. Well, why not just use manual mode? The reason being is because things can start changing at any moment. For example, if I'm photographing a bear in manual mode and clouds start passing over, I not only have to dial up the ISO, but now I also have to get the shutter speed adjusted. Granted, once you get the hang of manual mode, you can get it all dialed in pretty quickly, but those quick seconds could be the difference between catching a bear standing up or not at all. So leaving the camera in aperture mode lets the camera take care of the shutter speed. As I keep shooting, I just need to make sure it didn't get too slow, which is easy to do by glancing around in the viewfinder. And another example could be if the animal walks away and winds up being an accent in a great landscape rather than the focus. In this case, I can just quickly adjust the aperture to something like f16 and continue shooting. Using one of the priority modes allows you to continue shooting through potentially changing conditions without fumbling through one setting after another. And that can be the difference between getting a great shot and completely blowing it. So then, do I ever use manual mode at all anymore? Well, as a matter of fact, I do. I'll frequently use it around sunrise and sunset if I'm only capturing the landscape and the conditions remain fairly predictable. Likewise, you pretty much have to use manual mode for night shots. So if it's after dark, I'm pretty much always in manual mode. And those are just a couple of examples. Of course, there are plenty other scenarios where I will want to be in manual mode or I will want to be even in shutter priority. So it really just depends on what type of photography you're doing. But for the nature photography I'm doing, this is why I like to keep my camera in aperture mode. So I hope you found that helpful. And just a reminder, if you are going to be visiting Grand Teton or Yellowstone National Parks, I do offer private photography workshops and photo tours. So we can discuss this or any other photography related questions you have while shooting in the real world. And if you have any other questions or comments, definitely feel free to leave them in the comments below. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. And thank you for watching and happy trails.